Life changes, and with time, the role of parents in their children's lives also changes. What was once closeness may now seem like distance, and worse, the feeling that respect has been lost. But how to reverse this? How to reconnect and be valued? Again? That's what we'll talk about today. Perhaps your child no longer listens to your advice, ignores your calls, or postpones meetups. This hurts. But the issue isn't where you went wrong, but rather what you can do now to change this relationship. After all, these were years dedicated to raising these individuals, years of sacrifices, sleepless nights, and renunciations made out of love. And now, it seems like all of that has been forgotten. Many parents, upon noticing this change, try to reclaim respect in the worst possible way, by demanding, complaining, or imposing. But here's a hard truth to swallow. Respect isn't demanded, it's earned. You won't be heard by shouting, nor will you regain your value in your children's lives by forcing yourself upon them. Respect comes from a combination of posture, attitude, and, above all, the example you set. And that's exactly what we'll discuss today. If you've ever felt like you've lost the connection with your children, that your voice is no longer heard, or that your presence isn't valued, this video is for you. Here, you'll discover 7 fundamental steps to regain your children's respect without fights, resentment, or having to beg for their attention. These steps can completely transform your family relationship and bring back the consideration and affection you deserve. But beware. For this transformation to happen, you'll need to change your approach. Many of the actions we take thinking we're solving the problem actually end up pushing our children further away. The good news is that there are tested and effective strategies to reverse this situation, and throughout this video, you'll learn how to apply them naturally and permanently. Now, one important thing. Each of these steps works best when applied together, so don't skip any of them. And if you truly want to see changes, commit to putting these tips into practice. You might be surprised by the results. By the end of this video, you'll not only have a new perspective on your relationship with your children, but you'll also know exactly what to do to transform this relationship and regain the space of respect and consideration you once had and should never have lost. So, stay with me until the end, because the last step is perhaps the most powerful of all. Let's begin this journey of transformation right now. Step 1. Regain your self-esteem and confidence.
If balancing your sugar levels feels like a constant struggle, or diabetes worries keep you up at night, Glucose 6 is the solution you've been searching for. Thousands transformed, healthier lives achieved. Glucose 6, a one-of-a-kind product, has changed the lives of thousands, helping them achieve better blood sugar levels and healthier lives. Glucose 6, your solution to balanced sugar levels. Order now for a healthier tomorrow.
If you want to learn more about this powerful formula that is transforming the health of men and women over 50, check the first pinned comment below this video. Or pause the video now and point your phone's camera at the QR code on the screen.
If you don't value yourself, your children won't either. Often, without realizing it, parents teach that their time and feelings don't matter, accepting disrespect or avoiding standing up for themselves. But this can change. Think for a moment. When was the last time you truly took care of yourself? When was the last time you prioritized your own interests, desires, and well-being? This isn't about selfishness, but about remembering that you are a person with value, with a history, and with experiences that deserve respect. Regaining your children's respect starts with regaining how you see yourself. If you feel small, if you act as if you're unimportant, they will absorb that image and treat you the same way. Perhaps you know someone who, as they aged, began to diminish themselves. It could be a friend, a relative, or even you. That person, who was once firm, full of opinions, full of life, started to fade, to accept any treatment without reacting. Now compare that to someone who, despite their age, maintains a confident posture, speaks with conviction, knows what they want, and isn't afraid to express their opinion. Which of these two figures would you respect more? Your children see you the same way you see yourself. Regaining your self-esteem doesn't mean changing drastically overnight, but it does mean starting to stand up for yourself. The first change can be internal, deciding that you deserve to be heard. The second, external, changing how you behave daily. Stop apologizing for everything. Stop diminishing yourself. Stop waiting for others to value you before you value yourself. If you have something to say, say it. If you didn't like something, express it clearly. If you always put others' needs above your own, start balancing that scale. A good start is to establish small changes in your routine that reinforce your importance within the family. For example, instead of waiting for your children to ask how you are, take the initiative and share something interesting about your day. Instead of always adapting to their schedules and desires, make it clear when you're busy or when something doesn't sit well with you. Small gestures like these communicate, without the need for arguments, that you have value and that this value should be respected. Your children need to see you as a person with presence, posture, and a strong sense of identity. This doesn't mean being authoritarian or inflexible, but rather showing that your voice carries weight. And believe me, when you start acting this way, the way they see you will also begin to change. The respect you want to regain first needs to exist within you. Step 2. Stop complaining and start acting. Complaining is a common habit when we feel disrespected. It's natural to want to express frustration, point out what's wrong, and remind our children of everything we've done for them over the years. But here's a hard truth. Complaining doesn't solve anything. In fact, the more you complain, the more they pull away. This is because constant complaining creates a negative cycle, where you place yourself in the victim role, and your children, instead of feeling empathy, feel annoyance or even irritation. In the end, complaining doesn't generate respect. It generates impatience. If you've ever tried saying things like, "You never listen to me," "You don't value me," or, "In my day, things were different," you've probably noticed that these words don't provoke the expected reaction. Instead of reflection, they generate defensive responses, distance, and even resentment. This happens because no one likes to feel constantly pressured, and the natural tendency of children when hearing this type of complaint is to roll their eyes, sigh, and think, "Here we go again." If you want to be heard and respected, you need to change your approach. The key to regaining respect isn't in complaining about what's wrong, but in acting to change the situation. And this change starts within you. Instead of lamenting that your children don't value you, ask yourself, what can I do to make my presence carry more weight? If they don't listen to you, is it because they expect the conversation to follow the same pattern of complaints? What if, by changing how you communicate, they start listening more attentively? Imagine a parent who, every time they meet their children, starts the conversation by listing complaints. "You never visit me. You only call when you need something. I feel so alone." Now, imagine another scenario. That same parent, instead of complaining, shares something positive, asks an interesting question, or brings up a story that sparks curiosity. The impact is completely different. When you change your energy, the reaction of others changes too. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means finding more effective ways to express what you want. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try something like, "I'd really like to hear your opinion on this." Instead of, "You don't give me attention," try, "Let's set a day to have lunch together. I miss talking to you." These small changes make all the difference. Another key point is understanding that respect isn't earned through exhaustion. If you feel undervalued, instead of repeating the same complaint, show through your actions that your presence is important. This can be as simple as establishing new habits that reflect your importance. For example, if every time your child visits you, They spend the time on their phone instead of complaining. Try saying, "Let's put our phones aside for a moment. I want to enjoy this time with you." You set a boundary without creating conflict and show that the shared moment is valuable. Reversing the lack of respect doesn't happen overnight, but it starts with a clear decision. Stop complaining and start acting. The next time you feel like saying something negative, pause for a moment and ask yourself, will this bring my child closer to me or push them further away? If the answer is the latter, change your approach. Over time, your children will notice this change and start responding differently. Respect doesn't come from demands, but from how you conduct the relationship. Step 3. Set clear boundaries. Respect in any relationship, whether between parents and children, friends, or coworkers, is built on boundaries. And here's a big problem. Many parents, out of love or fear of pushing their children away, end up allowing those boundaries to be crossed repeatedly. The result? Children learn that they can speak and act however they want without consequences. And this silently but devastatingly erodes respect. If you feel like your children speak to you any way they want, disregard your feelings, or don't. Value your time. It's time to ask yourself, have you set clear boundaries? Often, the lack of respect doesn't happen because children are ill-intentioned, but because they were never taught to respect certain limits. The good news? It's never too late to change this dynamic, but to do so, you need to be firm. If your child responds coldly, don't accept it passively. Instead of feeling ignored, say, "Son, I understand you're busy, but I'd prefer to talk when you can give me your full attention." This sets a boundary without creating conflict. Boundaries don't need to be imposed with anger or confrontation. They should be communicated clearly and consistently. If a child speaks rudely, you can simply say, "I don't accept that tone of voice with me. If you want to talk, treat me with respect." If they constantly cancel plans at the last minute, you can respond, "I understand that unexpected things happen, but my time is also valuable. If this happens again, I'd prefer we only make plans when you're sure you can come." These are simple phrases, but they send a powerful message. You value yourself and expect to be treated with respect. A common mistake parents make is thinking that setting boundaries will push their children away. In reality, the opposite happens. When you set boundaries, you teach your children to value you more. After all, people respect those who respect themselves. And more importantly, children who learn to respect their parents also learn to respect other relationships in their lives. If your children grew up without many boundaries and now seem indifferent to your time, feelings, or opinions, don't try to fix everything at once. Choose 1 or 2 behaviors that bother you the most and start with those. Be consistent. At first, there may be resistance, but over time, they'll realize you're serious. More than that, they'll realize that your presence isn't a given, but something that needs to be valued. If you want to regain your children's respect, start by setting clear boundaries. You deserve to be treated with consideration. And believe me, when you stand your ground, they'll start seeing you in a new light. Step 4. Rebuild respect through active listening. Respect within a family isn't a one-way street. Just as we want to be heard and valued, we also need to learn to truly listen. Often, without realizing it, parents fall into the trap of talking more than they listen. They repeat advice, criticize, and try to teach all the time, but they don't realize that their children, especially in adulthood, also want to be understood. And here's a crucial detail. People respect those who listen to them. If you want your children to give you more attention and consideration, start by giving them something they may not be used to receiving from you. Genuine listening. Think about the last time your child tried to share something with you. How did you react? Did you really pay attention, or were you already ready to give your opinion before they even finished speaking? Often, parents interrupt their children minimize their concerns, or try to fix everything with quick advice. But what they want, most of the time, isn't an immediate solution. It's to be heard and understood. If every conversation turns into a lecture or a sermon, children naturally stop sharing their lives and distance grows. Now, imagine the difference active listening can make. Instead of rushing to respond, you look your child in the eye, nod, ask open-ended questions, and show genuine interest in what they're saying. This creates an environment of mutual respect, because when someone feels heard, they value the person listening to them much more. Respect is born from recognition. If your child feels that you recognize their opinions, feelings, and challenges, they'll automatically start recognizing your value more. A practical exercise to improve your active listening is to rephrase what your child says. For example, if they tell you they're having trouble at work, instead of responding with immediate advice like, "You need to talk to your boss and fix this," try something like, "It seems like this situation is really frustrating. How are you handling it?" This shows that you're following their feelings and not just trying to fix the situation. Small changes like this make a big difference in how your child relates to you. Another important point is to avoid the impulse to criticize or judge immediately. If a child shares something you disagree with, your first reaction might be to point out the mistake. But try to hold back and first understand what they're saying. Often, a simple, "Tell me more about that," can open up a space for dialogue that didn't exist before. Building respect through active listening doesn't mean you can never express your opinion or give advice. It just means that, before speaking, you ensure you've truly listened. And this simple change can completely transform the dynamic of your relationship with your children. They'll start seeing you not just as someone who wants to be respected, but as someone who also respects them. And that's the surest path to regaining a true and lasting connection. Step 5. Develop your emotional and social independence. Of the biggest reasons children start losing respect for their parents is when they notice that their parents have become emotionally dependent. This happens subtly, almost imperceptibly, but over time, it becomes a burden on the relationship. If a parent begins to depend on their children to feel happy, useful, or relevant, this dynamic can quickly become draining. Children don't want to feel responsible for their parents' happiness, and when they sense this dependency, they start pulling away, not out of lack of love, but because they feel the relationship has become an obligation. If you've ever found yourself anxiously waiting for a call that never came, feeling forgotten, when your children don't invite you to lunch or letting your happiness depend on their presence, it might be time to reflect. Are you living your life on your own? Or are you just waiting for your children to fill your time and emotions? This is a delicate but crucial point. The more emotionally independent you are, the more respect and admiration you'll receive from your children. Think about people who are naturally respected. Usually, they're those who have their own lives, interests, and activities. They're parents, who don't just wait around for their children, but who have active social circles, hobbies, and personal projects. This doesn't mean you should ignore your family, but rather that you need to find a balance where your happiness doesn't depend exclusively on them. If you feel like your routine revolves around your children's lives, it's time to change that. Start filling your time with activities that bring you satisfaction. It could be a course, a book club, travel, a new hobby, or even volunteering. Find something that gives you purpose beyond being a parent. This change won't just make you feel more fulfilled, but it will also change how your children see you. They'll start seeing you as a strong, independent, and interesting person, someone who deserves respect. A clear example of this is parents who, after their children leave home, fall into an emotional void. Without realizing it, they start depending emotionally on their children's visits and messages to feel good. But when a parent starts reinventing themselves, exploring new activities, and showing that their life hasn't stopped, their children start admiring them more. A parent who says, "Son, I can't meet today because I have a trip with friends," sends A very different message than one who says, "I've been waiting all day to see you." The great truth is that children respect parents who don't live solely for them. When they see that you have your own routine and interests, they start valuing you more. Instead of feeling like every visit is an obligation, they'll seek your company because they admire your energy and posture. If you want to regain your children's respect, start building a life where you're the protagonist. Show that, even in maturity, there's still so much to explore, learn, and experience. This change won't just transform how they see you, but it will also make your own life much more fulfilling. Step 6. Change how you demand. Respect. If there's something that pushes respect even further away, it's demanding it in the wrong way. Many parents, upon realizing they're being ignored or disregarded, resort to direct demands. "You should respect me more." In my day, children listened to their parents. "I deserve more consideration." But here's the problem. Respect isn't imposed, it's earned. The more you demand it, the more resistance you create. Instead of gaining the respect you want, you end up creating an environment of distance and, sometimes, even resentment. The issue isn't just what you say, but how you position yourself. If every conversation with your children turns into a demand about what they're not doing, your presence will start being seen as a reminder of something negative. What you need to understand is that respect comes from how you conduct your relationship, not from verbal demands. A clear example of this is parents who, upon noticing that their children don't call or visit often, adopt a tone of demand. "You never call me. I'm your mother, father, you should give me more attention." This might even generate an immediate response. Maybe your child will call the next day out of obligation, but it doesn't build genuine and lasting respect. Now, think about the difference if, instead of demanding, you created an environment where your children wanted to be around you. If, instead of complaining about what's missing, you became someone whose company is enjoyable, whose presence brings good conversations, good energy, and a refuge from the tiring routine of adult life. Respect comes from the posture you adopt. When you demonstrate balance, confidence, and an active life, your children start seeing you as a strong and wise figure. Someone who deserves respect, not because they demand it, but because they naturally inspire it. An important detail is understanding that often children don't realize they're being disrespectful. For them, certain behaviors might just be habits. If you've always accepted being treated a certain way, they might not even notice the impact of it. In these cases, the best way to change is through clear and direct communication, but without a tone of demand. Instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try something like, "I really enjoy talking with you, but sometimes I feel like I'm not being heard. Can we have more balanced conversations?" Instead of, "You never have time for me," try, "I miss spending time with you. When can we set a day to meet?" How you demand respect can determine whether it comes naturally or feels forced. When the demand comes with a tone of imposition or resentment, the child feels it as a burden. But when the change happens in your posture and communication, they start recognizing your value without needing to be told. If you feel like you've lost your children's respect, take a moment and ask yourself, what does my presence convey? If the answer is burden, demands, and complaints, it might be time to change your approach. Start acting more strategically. Demonstrate your value without demanding it, and you'll see that respect will return naturally and genuinely. Step 7. Create special moments and reconnect with your family. If there's one powerful way to regain respect and strengthen the bond with your children, it's by creating special moments. Respect within a family isn't born just from rules or impositions, but from affection, shared memories, and genuine connection between parents and children. When children start pulling away or showing less consideration, it's often because the relationship has become just a formality, a commitment without emotion, without those moments that create real bonds. Now, stop and think. What were the last happy moments you created with your children? I'm not talking about quick lunches or conversations about daily problems, but truly meaningful moments, the kind that leave a mark on memory and make children feel happy to be with you. If these moments have become rare or non-existent, then this is where the transformation needs to begin. The mistake many parents make is waiting for their children to take the initiative. They complain that their children don't visit, don't call, or don't spend time with them, but they forget that this connection needs to be actively cultivated. Instead of just waiting, take the lead. Invite your children to something special. And here's the key: do it in a way that's interesting for both of you. For example, if your child loves sports, invite them to watch a game together. If they enjoy cooking, suggest a meal where you both cook together. If your daughter loves traveling, plan a short trip to an interesting place. The importance isn't in the grandeur of the moment, but in the intention behind it. Showing that you want to share something special, without demands or expectations, can completely change how your children see your presence. And here's an essential point: don't turn these meetups into moments of complaint or venting. Nothing discourages a child more than accepting an invitation and, upon arriving, being met with complaints about lack of visits or how the relationship has changed. If the goal is to create a special moment, then let that moment be light, enjoyable, and pressure-free. Children need to associate your presence with something positive, not with an environment where there are always demands or arguments. Another important detail is that special moments don't need to be planned only for big events. Small gestures also make a big difference. Sending an unexpected message with something funny, sharing a good memory from the past, showing genuine interest in their lives, all of these create small connections that, over time, restore the relationship naturally. Many parents feel that, over the years, they've lost the role they once had in their children's lives. But the truth is, that role can be rebuilt. The secret isn't in demanding attention, but in offering quality moments. When your children realize that being with you is something enjoyable, they'll naturally want to spend more time by your side. If you want to regain your children's respect, start by creating new moments to be remembered. Respect is born from connection, and connection is born from time well spent together. The past has already happened, but the present is in your hands. Make the most of it. The relationship between parents and children requires attention and mutual respect. If that respect seems to have been lost, the change starts within you. Don't demand, inspire. Often, the distance from your children isn't a sign of lack of love, but that the relationship needs adjustment. Their world has changed, and perhaps your approach needs to change too. You can't force them to respect you, but you can create an environment where that respect happens naturally. Small changes in how you behave and interact make all the difference. When you value yourself, when you communicate firmly, when you create positive moments, your children start seeing you differently. It might take time for some of these changes to take effect. After all, behaviors and family dynamics don't transform overnight. But if you apply these strategies consistently, you'll notice that the way your children respond to you will start to change. There might be resistance at first. Some attitudes might take time to be absorbed, but gradually you'll notice a new type of interaction. Conversations will become lighter, respect will return spontaneously, and the connection that seemed lost will start to be restored. And now, a special request: I want to hear from you. Out of everything we discussed here, what point impacted you the most? What do you plan to apply first in your life? Leave your comment below, because your experience can help others who are going through the same challenge. If this content was useful to you, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This helps us continue creating videos like this, which make a difference in so many people's lives. And, of course, turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we publish a new video with more reflections and strategies to improve your relationships and quality of life. Remember, the respect you desire starts within you. Do your part take the first step and see how it can transform your relationship with your children. See you in the next video.